Well, this is an interesting case. We helped with Canada make the Canada deuterium uranium reactor known as the Canadian Indian Reactor US. We went in with the Canadians and built this thing, which was a peaceful research reactor. And we actually supplied the Indians with a reprocessing plant to extract uranium from the spent fuel from this machine. And the Indians kept telling us they wanted to have peaceful nuclear explosives, and we said, well, yeah, but we understand that you can't have any explosive purposes for anything that this reactor makes. And they said, well, we disagreed. And we said, oh, well, in time we'll come around to our way of looking at things. And as a result, well, they exploded a device based on the material coming out of here, and they called it peaceful. So the disagreement was resolved in the Indian one. We had every reason to know that this might happen, because they were telling us they would do it. It's kind of like, you know, when someone confesses to a crime before they do it and you don't pay any attention. It's like, wow. Now, it's interesting. What happened here is fascinating from a political standpoint. In the old days, people were ashamed of things. I'm not sure they are anymore, but they were back then. And if you got caught lying, it had consequences. And what happened is the State Department, when asked, did any American technology or material go into the making of this bomb, they lied. They said no. Well, but American heavy water did go into this machine. And when Congress found out about it, it did something which is the most desperate, heavy-handed thing you can do in Washington. Legislation. Pass the law. This has come into play in explaining something else. In '98, they did a test. We also didn't get that quite right either, but it was a tactical failure. The first one was certainly strategic. We should have known and had reason to know about it. The Indian case suggests that we had plenty of timely action with intelligence. We violated our own red lines by giving them this stuff and saying it didn't matter that we didn't have clear assurances. If anything, it wasn't so much that there was a wall, it was that everyone agreed that the intelligence didn't matter. It wasn't anybody fixing the facts. Everybody agreed on this. There was no creative tension. You can tell these models aren't working so well here for these cases. This is a South African rocket case. I personally was involved in killing this program, and it got killed because what happened is the Israelis transferred, basically, you see the Jericho missile? That's basically an ICBM. And the other South African launch vehicle that we started to see parts of going to South Africa photographically, well, geez, identical thing. This is a nuclear capable missile. There was legislation to prevent these transfers. There were automatic sanctions placed down. And there was regime change occurring in South Africa. And there was a black majority. And there was a keen interest in making sure this technology wouldn't go to a country that the African National Congress had close relations with, Libya. So we went down and tried to talk to them. They wanted to have the sanctions lifted because they wanted to make money selling other kinds of arms. And the pitch, which I gave, the State Department did not make, but that allowed me to make, is I had done a study in anticipation of this kind of problem. And I showed that you could not make money launching satellites. You would lose money. And they were persuaded that they would. And I said, easy way to find out. If you're going to make money, you should be able to raise money on a private financial basis. So that's what they did. They went out and tried to see if they could get any private investors. Nobody stepped up. That's how this thing got killed. There was no missile. We killed this thing by having them kill it before they even created it. is another set of examples where we got early indications and acted right away. We had some defectors, if you will, walk-ins, tell us about South Korea and Taiwan, in both these countries, that they were planning to make weapons. And we went in right away and said, knock it off. Partly this was because of the legislation I mentioned. There was a big premium being placed on not doing another India. Part of it is we have pretty good intelligence. Part of it is we acted right away. Okay, what does that signify? In these cases, we acted in first indications. We didn't have to do anything dramatic. Just talking to people. We didn't have to go shoot anybody. We didn't have to grovel and lie and become, accomplices of the darn thing. There was no real public trigger event. These cases did not make press for several years. They were solved before they made press. I always say, once something gets into the newspaper, it's over. Because there's a narrative attached to whatever's going on. Once it gets in the newspaper, and the facts won't matter after that narrative is locked down. If you want to solve any of these problems, it pays to keep quiet till you take care of it. There weren't any violations of any red lines, so that continuum and the bureaucratic thing where, well, you one step and you detect and you verify, that didn't have anything to do with this. There was incredibly close cooperation in these cases between the intel people and the diplomatic people and even the military, the U.S. military. There was not a turf war. So there was no wall at all. This helps explain some other cases. The Libyan case where we got rid of the nuclear program, and there also was an Argentine nuclear-capable missile program as well that more or less tracked the same attributes.